Good morning and welcome to Decentralizing. Today I want to talk a little bit more about getting a job in blockchain security in the crypto industry. So specifically, I'll be talking more about my experiences working in blockchain security, which was a cybersecurity role. And I want to talk about the steps I specifically took to get there. And I want to go over a little bit of the CV, curriculum vitae, or as most of the world calls it, and I'm not sure if I'm even saying that Latin word correctly, CV or resume, as we usually call it in America. So I want to just kind of go through some things that are part of my strategy, and you guys can give me your feedback. So please like, subscribe, put in the comments, what you think is a good idea that I'm using, or what you think are bad ideas, perhaps, and tips that you have for me as well. Because I don't claim to be an expert. I'm just kind of telling you guys what I've tried, what's worked so far, and I hope that you're getting some value, from watching and learning from my successes and my failures. So yeah, as a former high school teacher, I figured that as I continue my journey in crypto, blockchain, and Web3, I wanted to really share that with the world with this channel, Decentralizing, because I'm kind of an open book, and in cybersecurity, that's not the norm. It's not a good idea, right? You want to kind of hide, and you want to minimize your attack surface. You want to make sure there's not a lot of ways that people can get at you. So, in line with that, I'm hiding some of the personally identifiable information that's in my resume by redacting it. But this is kind of like what I do with this part of a CV, this professional summary. And by the way, part of my strategy is I use Google Docs, and I like to keep multiple versions of my CV, because I've been hit up from recruiters in all kinds of little areas, right? Like sometimes I have a list, I'll get to it later, but it hasn't just been like security or smart contract security. Sometimes it's infrastructure roles, blockchain architect roles, digital asset, managers, more on the finance side or the compliance side of things, and traditional cybersecurity roles as well that I actually went into a role in TradFi after working for a crypto firm, and I didn't end up liking it in the end, so I left. But because I really am all about crypto. But this is kind of the part of the CV where I very carefully tailor that to not the nice to haves. Like, when you see job postings, it'll be like the nice to haves, but then there's the must haves. I really tailor it to the must haves. And you could see like a nice to have, I think, was something about Chinese Mandarin. And actually this position had 4 or 5 of them, and the US one, I accidentally applied to the wrong one. I think that was in Singapore or something. It's not like it matters. It's still the same position title, so they're all good with that. And this is actually something, get ready for that. But I wanted to talk about this real quick to help people out with sort of my process. This is how I updated my resume to kind of reflect what I've been doing for basically the last year, and that is working on my gaming DApp, which is Whipverse, excuse me, and creating my own portfolio, upgrading my skills, getting certifications. I built this decentralizing YouTube channel, and something I don't really talk about is doing my taxes. As you guys know, crypto taxes are quite complex. I had to do my own, and it took a little bit longer than I thought. So yeah, shout out to Binance.us for not giving me my data for like 2 years. Yeah, anyway, not bitter. So that one's not really relevant. This is the one I want to talk about that's more relevant, because I didn't really show it last night or talk much about it. And how I got to this place. If you're going for a more technical role, you need to get comfortable with the idea that people are going to test you. They're going to give you a code test in front of them. They might ask you to construct an actual algorithm, a data structure. I had one blockchain security firm that they showed me a whole bunch of data from the blockchain, and they asked me to parse that data and organize it in some way and try to find something in that data. So they were trying to see my ability to get at search and sorting algorithms like merge sort and bubble sort and so on and so forth, and binary search trees. So if you're in computer science, make sure you have your data structures and algorithms at the top of your mind. I didn't. Like I told you guys, I taught high school for 5 years. Then they see my resume, and then they're, the thought process of some people in the technical field is, oh, this guy has lots of experience, but it's old experience, so I'm going to make sure I disqualify him by making this very, anyway, not bitter, but yeah, let's move on. Guys, I moved slowly into this direction and was able to accomplish that while I was working on my MBA, this period here. I got a marketing internship for a local provider of internet services, so an ISP, and it was actually quite a substantial role. So I got a lot of kind of managerial experience and PR, marketing, managing large campaigns. That helped a lot while I was studying the business side of things, working on just that general MBA. I think that was during my first year of my MBA program in 2017, and I got a summer internship. Now it paid crap, guys. I got paid like $20 an hour. I have, my partner Erin, who you guys have met. She's pregnant, and I'm basically the breadwinner, and we're living with my dad at the time, just hodling crypto, living off student loans basically. So, did we have to suck it up and kind of like live less than the life of luxury? Were we driving a Tesla then? No, we were not. Like we were just driving the Camry. Actually, we didn't even have the Camry yet, because we got that Camry at the end of 17 while I was in this internship, and Bitcoin ran up to 20K, and I sold one Bitcoin around 14K, and we bought that Camry for a Bitcoin. So we have this old 2016 Camry that we still drive. And this job I took because I knew it was regulatory experience and financial experience, and it was looking at balance sheets and income statements. And while I was working on my MBA, guys, on an online MBA program, there's just like so much posting that you do that's virtual. And for Washington State University, every time I was asked to find business cases or studies, I would either choose like Tesla and EVs, because that's what I was all into at the time. I wrote a paper in new product marketing on that Tesla should develop an electric pickup truck, and I wrote that whole report, which you can read on my LinkedIn, a year before they actually released the Cybertruck to the public, in that exhibition where they showed it off for the first time. Side note, but anyway, crypto. Like, I was always writing articles on how this business phenomenon, or depending on whatever class I was in, right? Like, whenever we were asked to apply knowledge to actual business cases, I used the ones I was passionate about, right? So, and it was usually crypto, and Bitcoin and crypto. So I'm out there like shilling this stuff unintentionally, to other people who are in my MBA program, because it's what I was passionate about and interested. So like, use the opportunities of school to, if you find it irrelevant or boring and you're taking some classes that are from a general academic program, don't let them make it boring for you. Like, do your own thing, because you're paying all that money you got to pay back one day. So get some value out of it. Find a way to make it valuable for you. And that's what I did. Like, when I had to read the book on the Fed and interest rates and markets internationally, so much of it is about bonds and yields and monetary policy and fiscal policy and interest. Like, it's boring and it's dry at times. But you know what? I didn't let myself make it dry. In my head the whole time, I'm just like, well, Jamie Dimon said this is a scam. And Warren Buffett, he thinks that we're all frauds and criminals. So you know what? I need to go twice as hard, right? Like, I need to understand where they're coming from, so I can either, so I know if they're accurate or not, and I can debate those points and have reasoned arguments that I can make, which I definitely can. Now, I have the financial language, the lexicon, and the acumen, the high quality understanding of how financial markets work and how businesses work, and supply and demand and economic modeling, all of that. And it didn't just come immediately. Like, I had to put in time and effort. And so that was part of my angle too. So when you think about your strategy, think about what it is you want to do in crypto. I thought like I wanted to do more of the regulatory side, and there are things in it that I definitely am interested in with regulation, but do I want to do something that is like, let's say, the accounting side? Do I want to actually look at balance sheets or submit expense reports and create budgets and work on spreadsheets all the time. Honestly, it might be a little bit like basic for me and a little bit boring nowadays because I've kind of leveled up where my brain like wants to like look at write functions and get into the code and do Solidity now. So don't think you can't grow and change. I'm a kind of an older pup here now, and I'm still like changing and learning all the time because that's what AI is there for. That's like your training tool, by the way. If you don't have like an OpenAI, ChatGPT Premium, also, these are investments in yourself in your future. Again, I'm not shilling this for them guys. I'm paying them money. They should pay me for shilling this. But I really feel like very strongly that my learning rate has accelerated by a factor of like 2 since this last year. And I definitely don't regret spending time really investing in my skills, my knowledge, and practicing them on projects and ideas I have, because this is like the greatest time ever to be an entrepreneur. Maybe not in terms of capital and financing and being able to acquire cheap capital because of interest rates, but yes, it is in terms of the tech that's out there and how empowered an individual can be. You guys, we live in like serverless cloud environments where I can summon the power of the cloud to build whatever I want. I can place functions all over the place in the cloud. I can use distributed peer-to-peer networks and IPFS. Like, understand what IPFS is. Like, learn about peer-to-peer distributed networks and learn about these distributed ledger technologies, DLT technologies, and understand what the decentralization trilemma is. Okay, that blockchains have trade-offs, right? Like, there's 3 parts to the. It's called the blockchain trilemma. I misspoke. And the blockchain trilemma basically says that there's 3 different. It's like the fast food one. Have you guys ever heard the restaurant? You can have food that is either like cheap, fast, or good service. Pick 2 out of 3. You can't get all 3 of those, right? If I recall. It's like quality, right? Quality is one of them. Anyway, with blockchains, it's decentralization, scalability, and security. And for example, Bitcoin is just super high scoring on security from any report I've seen anywhere, and my own analysis of the network, which I've studied it and read many books because it's fascinating. It's just an absolutely fascinating organic network that we've kind of built, almost organic-like network. And Ethereum, also completely fascinating. It's such an ecosystem to learn and study. This has to do with open-mindedness too, because Bitcoin was my entry point. And I've definitely been more of a maximalist, but I would call myself a maximalist light, because if you're a maxi light, like I have been, you're gonna go cheat on the mother of chains with Ethereum and Solana and all these other things just because, dude, you just want me to hodl and be bored? Come on now. I want to go play. I'm a tech person. I found Bitcoin because of tech. Like, most Bitcoiners are that way. That's the reality, guys, is like we're innovators, okay? Most Bitcoiners are innovators. And I'm the same. And Ethereum was like doing stuff, building a world computer, ambitious. And of course, you can go and criticize the DAO, you can go and criticize the Ethereum classic thing and centralization and, founding organization and Vitalik and Joe Lubin, whatever you want to do if you want to be a hater. But like, I like to focus more on the cool shit that they're doing. And so I've been a part of the Ethereum ecosystem for a while. And if I wouldn't have had that open mind, I wouldn't have gone and studied Solidity. I wouldn't have gone and taken those extra courses on smart contract development. I think it was like one summer when I had an easy course load on my MBA. And that's another thing too, guys. If you have to take like a class or 2 that just really doesn't interest you and it's boring, and you're just kind of like, well, what do I do? Don't twiddle your thumbs. Like, go do something crypto. Go learn another class. Like, you can go on Udemy and you can take a class in Yule. Yule is like understanding Solidity's assembly compiler. Okay, that's going to differentiate you. Go do Rustlings. Rustlings is a way to go learn the Rust language through a bunch of exercises that you can put on your GitHub, and it's provable. And Ethereum has a whole bunch of these too, like Crypto Zombies, and then Open Zeppelin has a whole bunch of Capture the Flag, CTF challenges. CTF challenges, if you're going into security, man, that's what they want. They like told me specifically that they want to see evidence of these things completed so that you can pass their exams, because if you're going into cybersecurity, having a background with a traditional certification like a CISIP or a CISA CISSIP or CISA. You can Google those terms, and you can. They're standardized tests that you can take at testing centers, but you need to really prepare. They're not easy tests, and you need to have security fundamentals really understood. It's going to take you, with a computer science background, maybe another year of study or a half year of study, or if you're really good, a couple months. But the best way to do it is, honestly, if you can get a job without those certifications. And I was lucky enough to be able to do that because I was able to pass the entry exams that asked security questions about crypto and Bitcoin. And because I'd been an investor and I had a vested interest in keeping my own assets safe, like every time I saw an article about FUD since 2013, I read it. Like, I understood every attack vector. I know the quantum attack, the quantum computer argument, and I understand the what happens in 2140 when no more Bitcoin can be mined argument. And every argument people have about the assets going to zero or reentrancies on Ethereum and bridge hacks, all of that. Like, if you're keeping up on it, that's how you get into security. So it's kind of accidental. And then it became a rabbit hole and a passion, and I can't look away from security and cybersecurity notices, and now, like, it's just like, and I take my own personal custody and security a lot more serious now as well too. But here's another thing you can do with your spare time when you're trying to get into crypto and blockchain. Like, don't spend all your time just applying for jobs, because that's going to give you a sense of relief and accomplishment. Like, oh, okay, I applied for 3 jobs today, but like, there's a very low response rate, okay? And when you just straight up apply on LinkedIn, no matter how you do, even if it's like a direct, quickly share your profile, and like, they're not going to get back to you a lot of the time, statistically speaking. And use the premium insights to see how many people have applied for a job and leverage supply and demand, because if there's 400 candidates who've applied for a job in the last 2 days, which LinkedIn will show you that if you have like the premium insights, it'll also show you like what degrees they have, if they have MBAs or similar to you, or if their credentials are beyond your credentialing. Because, like I said, guys, it's merit-based in Web3 and Bitcoin mainly. So the cool thing is, all this stuff you see on my resume, because I'm basically a boomer, and I've been in school forever, and I have a crap ton of student loan debt, that somebody who's Gen Z just really can't compete with these credentials on paper. But the cool thing is, you don't need to. I worked with Gen Z people who are like way more brilliant and fast than I was at Coinbase and other places. So, it's totally fine. Like, you don't have to be the best, but you need to bring value, and you need to find a way that you can bring value to a team that you join, and how you can be helpful to others. And those connections really matter, guys. Like, especially when you're working remotely, and crypto's a small community. And I think this is the last tip I want to say. There's still a lot more I can say on this, guys, but like, the last tip I want to say today is, when I had this role here, in the end, all this stuff I did, this right here, served me the best, because it was personal relationships. There were 2 people I onboarded that I've continued to be close with, who have helped me get future opportunities. There was a supervisor there that I worked with closely, who I also worked with in a future role after that. And the reason why is because if you have performance and you're able to meet the expectations, and you show, there's a lot of ways you can do it. Like, people always told me, they're like, Nate, you're so passionate. And then they'd be like, keep studying, which is like a polite way of saying, bro, you need to level up. Your CS skills are back there, which they were. I didn't even know what CI/CD was back then. I didn't know what serverless microservices, service-oriented architectures. Like, there's just such a lexicon and so many acronyms. And don't be afraid of it all. Like, take it piece by piece. You can go onto LinkedIn Learning, and you can take a little class on microservices, and they'll set you up with files and a little GitHub, and just do a little bit of slow, continuous learning in the background if you're trying to go more for the engineering roles. Which a lot of my advice on this talk today has been specific to that. But don't fade the whole idea of burning bridges and being rude and being a stoic, because don't ignore this, okay? Don't ignore and think you can just go into this industry and be like, yeah, man, F everybody else. I'm a lone wolf. if you're brilliant, you can get away with that, okay? And I've met people that are brilliant and they get away with it, with being kind of a dick. But you know what? It's not everybody. Not everybody gets away with that. Most of us have to leverage every skill we have, and keep good relationships and make sure that we're honoring our promises and keeping a good reputation when we take on the work that we take on. Learn about agile sprint cycles, because work is done at major crypto companies the same way that it's done at the FANG companies. Like, they use these sprint cycles, they use project management tools that are by the best companies like Atlassian tools like Confluence and Jira. And standard sprint cycles, what that means is, you're having a meeting at the beginning of the week where everybody takes on their work loads basically, and then you have to make the progress on your tickets, which that might be providing security reviews or trying to build out certain features or responding to certain customer support requests within that meet SLAs, which means service level agreements. So a lot of this is like the lingo that I would really recommend you go and learn and practice. And that's only even one part of the strategy, because if you just go and you work at a small crypto startup, some of the crypto native firms that are really small and they just go and they raise a few $1 million in capital because they have a really cool innovative proof of concept or an idea, they're not necessarily going to leverage all that. Like, there could be any given work style, if it's just a couple people working together. So, I would really recommend that you also do a lot of due diligence of the company you're going to work for, its reputation in the space from a regulatory perspective. And the reason I say that is people continue to underestimate the regulatory risk, especially in the United States, that our industry faces right now. We've been under a great deal of assault from many of the federal agencies in terms of compliance, and they're not really giving us like a straightforward path to comply yet. It's more or less trying to kick us out of the country. So until we have straightforward paths to compliance, I would also recommend that you be very careful and keep that in the back of your head. Like, if you're gonna be a developer, I've personally been building this dApp of my own, and all it is a tokenization dApp. It tokenizes your car by creating an AI JPEG of it, and it's really cool looking. But once you choose your picture, you can then register that NFT as an actual tokenized version of your car that you can play a game with. And then that registers the VIN, so only one NFT is associated with it, and that's like your token to the game, a metaverse where you essentially can drive your car around in the real world and go find like loot drops that I would drop as the project founder and our team would drop, and other users would drop. So it'd be like a P2P fun sort of game with PvP features as well. Your cars are going to have stats like attack and defense and so on and so forth. So just fun and not really about like trying to get rich. That's not the goal of the project, but I'm still pausing for a while. So, make sure that the company that you're working for is thinking about these things at least. I'm not going to reveal, and also, be mindful of like the NDAs you sign and not revealing proprietary information that a company wouldn't want to have getting out there. Like, that's why they have you sign that stuff. They want to keep the sustainable competitive advantage that they have in whatever industry they're in or lane that they're in. So, make sure you don't betray that, because it can get you in trouble legally, And of course, there's issues like insider trading as well. So if you are working on a team at a centralized exchange where you look at token projects or blockchains, you can't trade during that time. And if you do trade, it has to be very restricted, it has to be approved, and it definitely can't be something that's under consideration. And you literally can't tell anybody about things like this. You can't tell them what tokens are under consideration at all. So keep in mind too how what your role is in crypto could affect your ability to trade. And so, is that something you want or not? For me, it wasn't an issue. I'm cool with just like having a simple buy and hold strategy of like Bitcoin and ETH, and that's kind of what I employed during that period of life, and it was all good. Well, guys, hey, thanks for checking out the channel today. Again, I implore you, if you're getting some value from this, hit like, hit subscribe, give me your thoughts, give me your feedback and experiences working in the space. I really want to be able to help people who are coming in here. And guys, I want to say one final thing here as I close. And I know I've already said that like 10 minutes ago, but the final thought is timing does matter when you get in the market. I got my first blockchain job here in blockchain as a blockchain security engineer at the end of 2021. I literally got hired like November of 21, and I started, like my start date was end of December or very beginning of January of 22. And I worked for a year there. My contract got renewed, 3 or 4 times, I can't remember. And in the end, there just wasn't budget. And so a large part of the team was, laid off, and it had nothing to do with performance. So the cool thing is, like, the industry knows this. If you get laid off generally, it doesn't mean that you sucked. It just means you weren't the top of the top or whatever. Or somebody didn't like you, or there's a lot of reasons. Like, people know that, and they don't even really, I don't even get asked about it. Like, they ask me about the skills. They really want me to prove the skills, okay? So, 2 things, right? Make sure you can prove the skills that you write down, and you really need to back up the walk the walk, because everything's remote. So there's a lot of, I think from a manager's point of view, like you're insecure. You don't know who that person is on the other side of the camera for sure. Like, you can't go and have drinks with them or a meal or whatever and kind of learn more about them and their situation, and are they going to like present career risk for you as a manager, or are they going to do their job? Because that's the worst thing if you're a hiring manager, is you've got to make sure they do their job. So yeah, like, if you can get hired now, that's where I'm going with this. Right now is the beginning of the bull run. This is when people are gonna, pretty much everybody who was a full-time hire versus contractor status, because once the bull market really starts going and they need extra staff, and they've already got all the full-times that they want to ensure are gonna make it through the next bear market, then they start moving into the surplus labor. Okay, so it is tiered systems, guys. This is like Silicon Valley. You're gonna get off, they're gonna try to give you contractor roles first, which means, it's temporary basis for a few months at a time, and you are totally being watched the whole time. Like, your performance is being evaluated, and if you're not the best of the best, it's survival of the fittest. Like, at least on an engineering team at a high-performant company, I can say that. And look, I'm not digging it. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, obviously there's bad factors about it psychologically and so forth, and in terms of, how people learn and getting maximum efficiency out of people. But all that being said, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, people just end up doing that. They're so driven, and everyone's working so hard, and there are such a fast moving world in crypto that, if you don't make the cut the first time, or you make the cut and you get in and then you only make it for a while, don't give up. Like, if you really are passionate, keep going. I'm not giving up. I'm having fun still, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm really looking forward to this next bull run and seeing like where my career goes, whether I'm going to be a founder, whether I'm going to be a builder, or whether I'm going to be providing security. As long as I'm doing something that is really congruent with making a difference in the space, which is either a really cool game or spreading education and advice and advocacy to help the world and my kids, because that's always what's in my head, is my kids and my partner Aaron. And my the third thing is like, so yeah, having fun and but securing the space. That's so important. Like, I feel good about that mission, but like, it doesn't matter how good you feel about the mission. If the work is boring, or the team you work on, you're just not aligned with those people, then it's okay to get out. You only get one life, so YOLO. Cheers, guys. Thanks for checking out the video today. Again, please like and subscribe, and give me your feedback. Thanks. Bye.